Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very good evening to you back there at home. My name is Faisal, Kassim, and welcome to the live Real Talk. And tonight we'll be talking about the Waqf Commission. This is something that Muslims have been waiting for quite some time. Finally, it's tabled on the floor of Parliament, of course, by the mover, former Majority Leader and current Garissa Township Member of Parliament, Honorable Eden Dualu. So let's look at what Honorable Eden Dualu, who's the mover of the motion, had to say, and some of the contribution of the members, including Kamukunji's Honorable Yusuf Hassan and Mombasa's Likoni's Honorable Mishi Mboko. Let's listen into what they had to say before we delve into the conversation with an amazing panel that I have tonight. You cannot afford to miss this.
Speaker, what are the conditions for Waqf? Number one, there must be a permanent dedication. It's something based on the faith, based and drawn from the religion. It's something that must have a permanent dedication on the person who is donating. Two, there must be competence on the part of the person giving. The Speaker, in Islam, when you pass on, the law of inheritance comes in. So even when you are a father, you can only give Waqf or you distribute your wealth for Muslim charitable institutions only when you are alive. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the establishment of a selection panel for the appointment of the members of the commission, their functions, the election of the chairperson, all these, the appointment of the Director General, all these is covered in the, I think, the third section of the bill.
And I think this commission would go a long way in providing that platform to the Muslim community so that they're able to know where the money that they're giving goes to, how it is used, and in particularly in the unfortunate situation of the persons that have given those monies pass away, there is a system in place where this particular community can have an arbitration through a commission, an independent commission appointed by the government that is based on the legislations of our own country.
Pia wakfu, wakati mtu umetoa rasilimali ama mali kwa wakfu, ama ni shirika, ama ni watu kadhaa, huwezi tena kurudi na useme ya kwamba mimi nataka hii mali yangu niichukue sasa. Ama pengine yule aliyetoa amefariki, alafu watoto warudi nyuma waseme hii ilikuwa ni nyumba ya baba yetu, hino ilikuwa ni ardhi ya baba yetu, sisi watoto tunaitaka ardhi hino. Wakfu ukishatoa, whether yule baba atakuwa yuko ama amefariki ama yuko ama yoyote ambaye amekuwa ametoa rasilimali kama ile rasilimali itabakia kwa ile nia aloinuilia yule aliyetoa ile wakfu ama ile rasilimali.
Or what I was able to understand about Waqf is that is an endowment made by a Muslim to a religious or educational or charitable cause. And that is good because this will go a long way to actually help and improve, assist, and also excite and incite more people to donate for charitable causes. Also, I did capture from him very well when he struggled with the histories that this law was confined at the coast. Honorable Speaker, I'm fairly an authority in history in government at my own level, and it's true that at independence, when colonization had been done, the Sultan of Zanzibar was left by a strip, what was called the colonial strip. And it was 10 miles wide. And therefore, there were some Islamic laws that were only applicable within the 10-mile strip along the coast, which continued to be administered by the Sultan. And that's why Honorable Ndwale possibly talked about Said Bagash and Said alongside other sultans that did govern the coast. It comes out clear, Honorable Speaker, that since then Islam has spread into the interior of what formerly was called the Protectorate, because this was called the East African Protectorate. And therefore, there's need to extend this rule and this law beyond the Strip into the interior, where now we have Islam. And I think from that perspective, this is good, because there's Islam everywhere. In Muhaya, where I come from, even just last weekend, we were burying the wife of the DG for Vihiga, and the wife of the DG Vihiga, Bana Saisi, was a Muslim, and we had a local Muslim leadership providing the sermon. I remember veteran Raila was also present in that particular funeral. So I believe that now, even in Vihiga, in Muhaya, and other places in Kenya, would require this law, so that such donations are made, and then how are they administered? What is the surety that after such donations have been made, they will go for the purposes that the intenter who donated did for the same, without any other persons now coming in to own them and use them, not in the correct way which they were intended to be used.
Thank you so much, my brother Faraj, there, for giving us those videos and those pieces. Of course, joining me tonight to discuss this topic, I am with former, he was once a commissioner, but again, as you've had the legislature say, because he was not from the coastal side, then he was ousted very quickly. That is none other than Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
No pun intended, though. Everything true, right?
Yes.
Khalas, thank you. Of course, he contributed greatly, and of course, he was part of the task force together with Mona City, looking into the legal framework. Mona Kitina, I beg your pardon, Mona Kitina, looking into the legal framework of the act that was proposed after the promulgation of the new constitution. And I'm having, of course, tonight, all the way from County 001, Sheikh Zubeir Noor, who is a former chairperson of the Waqf Commission. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh, and thank you so much for making time for us this evening.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I'm just going to start with your reaction on this. You need to factor in mind that the Waqf Commission was first introduced in the floor of Parliament by Honorable Eden Duale way back in November 2019 to replace the outdated act, the Waqf Commission Act of 1951. That was after the task force was set up and came up with a recommendation that was presented to the then Attorney General, Professor Githo Muigai. And of course, Honorable Eden Duale took it now upon himself now to introduce it to the floor of Parliament. And this is the second reading that is currently taking place in the floor of Parliament. I'm going to start with you, Sheikh Zubeir Noor. What is your take on the process of the Waqf Commission Act so far? Sheikh Zubeir.
Alhamdulillah. Ala kul hal, Faisal, first of all, I must thank the management of Horizon for taking a lead in most of these media to highlight and to create awareness on this very, very important issue. The history of making of this Waqf Act is come a long way, and we who have been in the front line and taking charge of the process is a big relief for us, and we are really indebted to the former Attorney General, Professor Githo Muigai, and the current Attorney General as well, and all members of the task force and the commissions, and all stakeholders, including, of course, Eden Duale and all members who took a key role to promote this document. I feel is the process in the right direction. And I feel there's a great future, not only for Muslims in this country, but the entire population. Because the whole idea of this process is also looking into how we can best eliminate poverty in this country in a very big way. So this document to us is a global document, and we urge all members of Parliament to support this process. And then in any case, you have to realize that prior to independence, we had two institutions which were supposed to be part of this government, which were left behind by the colonialists. That one is the Qadi's Court, and the other one is this Waqf Commission. And of course, according to the new constitution, all arrangements, all agreements signed prior to independence, they have to be respected. And I'm glad this government has heeded that advice. And being a government bill, I urge all members of parliament to respect this bill and to give it all support that it deserves.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I'm going to come back to you. Just hold on that. Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, just getting your thoughts on the Waqf Commission so far, just to read a number of people who have supported this bill include Honorable Eden Duale, Honorable Yusuf Hassan of Kamukunji, Honorable Mishimboko, Honorable Abdusamad Sharif Nasser, that is Vita's MP, Honorable Ruwaida Obo, Honorable David Olesan Kok, Honorable Marcelina Arbele, Honorable Rehema Jaldesa, Honorable Mohammed Duale, Honorable Beatrice Adagala, Honorable Ali Sharif, among many others who have all come out strongly supporting the bill. And of course, the document circulating, which is the Hansard report of the 3rd of August, Parliament proceedings. Of course, you can get the details of what different members had to say. Just Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, what would you take? What's your take on the progress of the bill so far?
As a member of the task force that put together the proposals on what needs to be amended in that bill, of course, we have been anxiously waiting for this moment. And we remember the date when we were able to put together the proposals on what should be amended in the bill, in the act, the current act, 1951 act. Of course, it was a very happy day. We had hoped that this process would take a shorter time, but we say better late than never. We are excited now about the debate that is going on, because this is a bill that is long overdue, especially for the Muslim community. And we do hope that it's going to be carried through all the procedures and the stages and become an act of parliament sooner than later, because it is in the best interest of not only the Muslims of this country, but also Kenyans in general. Because remember, it has a lot to do with property owned by Kenyans who happen to be Muslims. They have donated these properties for the benefit of the general public. So even if they are Muslims, when a section of the population of the country is empowered economically, property that has been donated to empower the public, it doesn't matter whether it is benefiting the Muslims or any section of the population of Kenya. At the end of the day, the end result is some sections of the people of Kenya are being empowered. Public property, because it is public the moment it is donated, and especially when we talk about the public charity that is endowed, you endow your property, and the benefit goes to the public, then we as Kenyans also, regardless of whether you're a Muslim or not, we need this bill to be passed sooner than later. And we're always talking about management, proper management.
Precisely. You're just preempting my question, which was asked rather by one of our followers on Twitter, Unasis, at Unasis is asking, and I'm going to start with you, Sheikh Zubeir, all the way from Mombasa, being a former chair of Waqf Commission and appears to be quite passionate about it. So what happens on the unfortunate misuse of the Waqf that has been donated rather to be managed by the Waqf Commission? Sheikh Zubeir.
Generally, those cases are very common, not only in Kenya. People take for granted that Waqf properties are for free. So I think most important here is that when you look at the property which could be misused, and the Waqf Commission has the responsibility to intervene. Basically, the Waqf Commission as a whole is supposed to be a regulatory law. If there's a property which is managed by a trustee and those trustees are registered with Waqf Commission, then Waqf Commission actually intervenes and carry out audits of the particular property and bring sanity in the management of the trustee. Like, for example, if you like in a normal situation, when you find a company has gone bust,
Yeah.
you find the audit company comes in and recovers, like banks or any institution. So that's a kind of a role that Waqf Commission is supposed to play, to put in place any mismanagement of properties and put in place structures that can correct that anomaly and make sure that the Waqf property, subject to the Waqf bid, is properly regulated and properly maintained and managed.
Great. That's good. Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, while coming up with recommendations of how to handle the commission moving forward, it is what I can hope I'm allowed to say that it's kind of expansion of its operation, because if you look at the proposal is that you need to have the Waqf Commission that is as stable by Honorable Eden Duale in Parliament, is that you're supposed to have a commission. I don't know if we can have that picture, Faraj, on the screen. You're supposed to have the Waqf Commission on top of the pyramid, and then you have the CEO who will be reporting to the commission, and then beneath the CEO, under the CEO, we're going to have 4 main departments. We're going to have an accountant, supposed to have a legal officer, supposed to have a zakat / welfare officer, and then need to have 8 regional coordinators with the main coordinator, of which under the zakat and welfare it's supposed to be PR and marketing, right? Under the 8 regional coordinators, we're going to have with the original 8 provinces that were there, the previous 8 provinces, I assume, right? And then under the accountant, we have the revenue clerk, and then we have the property and managers / field officers, correct? This is what can be understood in other words as expansion of its operation in terms of the legal entity. So I don't know whether you have thought about the management, or rather the day-to-day, the administration cost that comes with it. Once it's expanded, these are salaries, these are logistical expenses, these are offices, stationery, and all that. I don't know whether you've thought about the running of this, the day-to-day operations.
Thank you very much for that question. You see, one of the biggest problems that we're having now with the Waqf Commission as it is today is the mismanagement of the properties. So actually we had to carefully think of how we can come up with a structure, a management structure that will ensure there's no wastage and there's proper use of the Waqf property. And let me tell you, of course, when you put structures like those, you can see it's a very elaborate structure that we proposed. And we had to think about it very carefully, that this is a commission that is handling a lot of property, and it has to be run professionally. And that's why you'll find elsewhere we have recommended even the qualification of each of those people that we have proposed there, including the commissioners and those who will be charged with the day-to-day running. Yes, it will come with a cost, but let me tell you.
So allow me, I can just read some of them. Like, for example, the Constitution of Waqf Commission. There is hereby constituted a body to be known as the Waqf Commission of Kenya, that consists of persons whom one shall be, now, but this is the original, shall be the provisional commission.
Let me just finish what I was about to say. As it is right now, the problem of the Waqf Commissioners, the Waqf Commission of Kenya today is not lack of resources. It is mismanagement of the resources, because it has no structures at all. If you look at the original act as it is now, the old act, the 1951 act, it doesn't create those organs for proper management. So a proper structure of management will come with a cost, but I can tell you, without any fear of contradiction, the Waqf property is enough to pay that salary bill for the proper management, because it is a vicious cycle. You have a proper management team there of the Waqf property, the Waqf property will be able to generate enough with proper management to pay the salaries and more. Right now, the biggest problem we have with the Waqf Commission is wastage and the revenue that is being collected. You cannot imagine, Faisal, an agreement, on a lease agreement that was signed in 1964 of a property whose rent today would be close to 1 million or 2 million shillings. Somebody is paying 400 shillings. And there is nobody even to follow up that. Sometimes you're told a person getting into a tuk-tuk to bring a check, paying the rent, will pay more for the tuk-tuk than the check they are bringing to them. You know, so this is the mischief that we had to address. And actually, I say it's a big sin if we continue like that.
I want to understand one thing
for me,
correctly.
that is not a big worry for me.
I want to understand one thing correctly, Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, based on your answer on that.
Yes.
Every other commission in this country depends on government to bankroll it. Talk of the IBC, talk of the TSC, talk of all these other commissions.
Those are constitutional commissions.
Yes. This being constituted by an act of parliament.
Yes.
So are there any chances of depending on the government to bankroll it and support its administration?
It doesn't need anybody to bankroll it. We are not talking about bankrolling. To pay its
to support the commission.
It doesn't need. If the Waqf property is properly managed with the proper structures there, it doesn't need. I will not be surprised if government borrows from it money in future if it is properly managed. Yes.
Thank you so much. Sheikh Zubeir, before you go on a very short break, Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, again, quite passionate about this topic. It's the third time I'm hosting Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome on the same topic. And of course, every other time he comes in with new information that, of course, is beneficial to our viewers. Remember, we're streaming live, first of all, to our viewers. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. And you can interact with us directly by asking your questions to the panelists here tonight on Matters Waqf Commission. Sheikh Zubeir, this is the second reading, and of course we're just awaiting the third reading before it's enacted into law. What is your greatest fear, if at all you have any, for as far as the procedure of this bill is concerned? Sheikh Zubeir.
ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. You know, this bill would have fallen long time ago. I remember in 2015, we were invited by the former Attorney General, all commissioners, together with the sitting Chief Qadi, the Secretary, for a meeting with the Attorney General. And we explained to him, we wrote to him all what my brother Lethome is explaining. We had a lot of issues, a lot of mismanagement. We never had even an accountant. Yeah, so it was a messy situation, and for the AG to accept our views and recommendation to come back again to serve another 3-year term, and also to accept our advice to form a task force was a big plus. And thereafter, we had our brothers taking the AG to court to stop our appointment. It should have been dead then. But now, alhamdulillah, we went through that, and to see this bill being debated in Parliament is a big plus for the Muslim community and also for this country. I can tell you, I have no fear whatsoever. I am very confident that this bill is going to go through, and big changes are coming in for the benefit of Muslims and Kenya in general. We are looking at, if you look at 100 years ago, these properties were donated, currently the market value of over 10 billion. And very few properties have been donated since then. So this bill, first of all, will also offer confidence to Muslims, both here in Kenya, even diaspora, that now they're looking at a new Waqf Commission, different from the one it used to be as a private club. There was no access to information. But today, if you want to know who is rented which house, which plot, and how much he's paying, it's very clear. Before, you could not get information. The fact that this bill now is in Parliament, it's a big credit to those who supported it. And my fear is that, like Brother Lethome just mentioned, is to have the regulations in place and the right manpower to carry out this function of Waqf Commission. As far as the bill is concerned, I have no doubt whatsoever it's going to go through. I'm confident that
today, if you want
our brothers and sisters who came out very strongly to support this bill,
yes,
is a clear sign of positive that this work is going to go through.
I just want to understand something. You say that if today someone wants access to information on the Awqaf, basically the Waqf properties that are there in the country, someone can access it and the information is available. For the benefit of our viewers back at home, where exactly can they get that information in terms of the assets that are there, who is renting, at what amount, and basically one can basically come up with a rough figure of how much you're looking at in terms of total Waqf in this country?
This information is now really available at the Waqf Commission's offices and also in the report that we submitted to So that can be available at any given time. People can have access to know really who are the real tenants, how much they're paying, how much they're earning. We can no longer afford to rent a plot 1,000 shillings a year, and then the same guy makes about over 400,000 a month.
So I'm asking, where can the public access the information? The Muslims?
At the Waqf
online maybe where?
Makadara Road.
In your offices?
The offices are still, they've been there.
What about those who cannot get to Mombasa? Is there an online portal, maybe the website can access the information?
We will have to arrange with the current secretary to facilitate this.
Okay, that's well noted. Kassim Fatma on YouTube says, may Allah protect and bless you all for these hard tasks. May Allah make it easy for you all. And of course, we need to discuss about how the public, the general Muslims, will have to play a part in this, because they are the viewers back at home. We need to talk about that, but this and much more will be coming after the break. Remember, we are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, and you can interact with us directly. Ask your question. Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, who is a member of the task force that came up with this Waqf Commission proposal that has been tabled on the floor of Parliament. And of course, this also document is available online. You can just go and type Waqf Commissioners Act 2015. Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome?
Yeah.
Waqf Commissioners Act of 2015. You can type it on Google, and you can be able to get the document in PDF, download it, read, go through it, and we can be able to discuss more this and way much more. Interact with us on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Faisal Kassim. Send us your message on WhatsApp as well via the number that are going on, scrolling down on screen. 07547077707 is our call-in live number. You can call us live and talk to our commissioners tonight. Ask those questions. This and much more after the break.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Verse of the day.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت إن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين بالمعروف حقا على المتقين. فمن بدله بعدما سمعه فإنما إثمه على الذين يبدلونه إن الله سميع عليم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for keeping it live. Real Talk. We're having few minutes until we wrap up our conversation tonight as we are talking about the progress of the Waqf Commissioners Act of 2015 that has been tabled on the floor of Parliament by the former Majority Leader, Honorable Eden Duale. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. May Allah put it in the mizan of hasanat until the day of judgment. Remember, for our viewers, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, and you can interact with us. 0754707707 is our number. They can call us in live and let's have a discussion. Anything that you want to discuss or ask the question, you can post on 0798974747 as well. And let's get some of those questions to ask our viewers. Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, this matter on Waqf Commission and the assets and what basically is there. Some people are holding back their assets from donating it to the Waqf or donating it to any Muslim institution because of the mistrust that is associated with Muslim or Islamic institutions. How different is Waqf Commission going to be over and above the structures? What are the checks and balances that are put in place to ensure that the people who are going to be in these positions are people who are trustworthy and are going to take care of the assets that are going to be there?
Question number one is about how those people end up being entrusted with the management of the Waqf Commission's assets. Mm-hmm. You find that there is a very elaborate a mechanism of how they are going to end up in that office. As it is now, it's just you pick whoever you want and put him there. And actually there are no people, there are no structures as it is now, there are no structures. Okay. And that's why, rightly so, people have lost confidence in it, and so there are no more properties being donated. Mm-hmm. How do you not donate your properties to an institution that is not properly managed? So if you look at the proposals that we have made there, even the people who are going to end up now being in charge of the Waqf Commission's property, mm-hmm. these are people who are professionals, number one, because it has to be run professionally. Then you find that you can, all the people we have put there, like there is an accountant in charge of these, and they are responsible to a CEO, and then they are all responsible to the Waqf commissioners, the commissioners themselves. So it is the elaborate structures that we have put in place that will have checks and balances. There is also an arbitration clause whereby the Muslim community can come also and complain if there is any problem or they feel there is mismanagement.
Before you go there, Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, about the checks and balances, and you mentioned about professionals, the government is being run by supposedly professionals, people who have graduated from universities both in the country and abroad. But the president the other day came out and said 2 billion Kenyan shillings is being stolen from the public coffers every single day. So these professionals as well do take part and participate in some of these activities. So I don't know what other checks and balances, mechanism or procedures.
Faisal, you know, human beings will always be human beings, but remember, a Waqf commission is not a commission like any other. This is a commission that is part and parcel of our faith. And therefore, we'll do what we can, the best we can as human beings, to make sure that we put checks and balances. And then we hope that the people who are going to get there, they are people who have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in them. And that's why, if you look at even the selection, there is a very elaborate way of how they are going to be selected and the rest. And of course, the law will deal with them after that. And not only the laws of the land, the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You misappropriate a property that has been donated by a person who is long dead, and you think you're going to get scot-free. You can get away with it in this world, but definitely you're not going to get away.
It'll catch up with you.
Yeah, it will catch up with you. And we hope, Faisal, we're going to have people there who, when we tell them, fear Allah, ittaqillah, they know the meaning of ittaqillah. And they know the meaning of eating haram. And they know the meaning of taking property that is not yours and the consequences it has. Not only on you, and even your progeny. You know? So that is all. So we do what we can humanly do. The rest we leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you. Sheikh Zubeir Noor, I would love to understand, being a trustee of this Waqf Commission, what ways have you planned to engage the community more to ensure that they trust the commission or the commissioners, so that they keep on donating to the trust? Because it has reached to a point where everyone, instead of now donating to a common pool like the Waqf Commission, you see everyone starting his own foundation, right? So as a commission, you being the trustee of that particular commission, to ensure people do not go out and starting their own foundations left, right and center and trying to achieve the same thing with little resources, so as to ensure unity in improving the lives of the people that we are serving as leaders. What processes have you put in place to ensure that the trust is regained back to the commission?
We know we have a lot of Waqf trustees which are not registered by the Waqf Commission, which is currently an offense. But of course, given the poor infrastructure and the Waqf Commission of Kenya, they've not been able to follow up to look into these Waqfs which are operating without being registered and being monitored. We have had several cases of mismanagement of properties under trustees which are supposed to be under Waqf Commission, and it's not been very easy. That's why we look at the act, and we felt the only way, one of the ways is to eradicate these kind of things is to enact this new law, yeah, and make it, give it the powers as a regulative power. Because we're looking at Waqf Commission to operate in the same way like KRA, almost similar to KRA. You can have your own trustees in your own properties, but they have to be registered by Waqf Commission of Kenya, because we need to monitor them, and we need to have annual audit reports, so that we know the progress, and if there are any complaints, they come to Waqf Commission of Kenya, and they've been dealt with. But like I said, we need to have the right characters with the high integrity, professionalism, so that they can take care of matters. They are not that easy matters that we can just imagine. If you can imagine the bill from 2019 up to today, yeah, there are people actually sabotaging the whole process. But alhamdulillah, this big one goes through. It can create a lot of opportunities and transparency and accountability. And then, of course, expanding the services of Waqf Commission all over Kenya, all over the country. We are looking at to manage properties not less than 100 billion, for example. So you need to have the right characters to run and manage this institution. So what we're looking at is now to deal with this kind of situation. We need to put all the mechanisms in place. We need to have the regulations in place so that the right people can follow the proper regulations and they're accounted for. So,
Lethome just mentioned. Okay, there is a specific question for you from a viewer who is asking, what happens to Bamkele Waqf and the grave? I don't know what's the relation, Bamkele Waqf and the grave. Maybe you would you mind sharing more light on that? That is a specific question to you.
But Bamkele is a registered Waqf property, and it has the right of a Waqf property. It is now a matter of court. Yeah? And the issue of the graveyard, that graveyard is not registered as graveyard. It still remains as a property of Waqf Commission of Kenya. So we know the families of Bamkele have taken Waqf Commission to court with the very minimum chances of them winning the case. So the matter is in court, and we as Waqf Commission of Kenya is still in charge of that plot. And that graveyard is not a registered graveyard in any county or any municipality. It still remains as part of Waqf Commission property.
Thank you. Thank you. Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, as you're wrapping up the conversation tonight, what would be your parting shot, especially in respect to Abdullah and Muhammad and Mama Ismail out there, on how they can take part in building this mission as Muslims outside there?
My message number one is just to tell Muslims that Waqf in the history of Islam has played a very important role in empowering the Muslim community. You're told that at one time a child would be born in a hospital built by Waqf money, goes to school that is fed by Waqf money on a Waqf property, and even work in a Waqf property, and when they die they are buried also in a Waqf property. It's a very important institution for the Muslims, and it will not succeed. You know, you can come up with very good laws, but if the laws are not implemented, then it will just be ink on paper, just be a piece of paper. So the Waqf Commission, we are hopeful. I have no doubt in my mind, just like Zubeir said, inshallah, we've come a long way. And actually, the worst is over. At one time, we were even taken to court because people who are already benefiting with the status quo now, from the status quo now, they did not want this bill. And these are Muslim, prominent Muslims, whom we don't want to mention names here. But alhamdulillah, we've come a long way. But we need the support of the Muslim community. Once this bill becomes an act of parliament, then we want to call upon the Muslim leadership, first of all, led by the current CEO, who is a very qualified brother Dr. Ibrahim Bolushi. Yeah. We need, first of all, to sensitize the Muslims, and you, the media people, you have to help us in sensitizing the people about this bill, this new law. We need to support the Waqf Commission. It is our own institution. By supporting the Waqf Commission, we are supporting ourselves. We have so many Muslim children who have performed well, but they cannot go to school because of poverty. Believe me, what is being held by the commission, even as it is today, Sir Faisal, if it was properly managed, no single Muslim child would go without school fees. No Muslim would go and would suffer because they have a medical bill which cannot be cleared. We would be having hospitals, we would have universities and other institutions from the Waqf property. So we need the support of every Muslim, but before that, a lot of sensitization of what Waqf is, and also what Waqf is able to do for us. So that's my message tonight for all the people.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, for that. Sheikh Zubeir, Noor, on your end, what would be your parting shot tonight? Of course, along the same direction of how can the Mwananchi get more involved in this whole process?
One thing I can tell you, Faisal, that this bill is a very, very important document in the history of this country. And not only Muslims, but even our fellow brothers Christians, especially the ones in the parliament, they have to look at this document and see the positive part of it and actually support it. Because some of the properties that, I give a good example. In Mombasa, we have Technical University of TUM, Mombasa, TUM. That institution sits on Waqf property. And if you look at the population, about 10,000 students, maybe about 10% of them are Muslims. So this Waqf Commission, once elected and proper structure and the right people are in place and doing the right thing at the right time, number one, I'm looking at it as eliminating poverty, giving the right infrastructure in terms of education, in terms of welfare, in terms of a lot of issues that are facing Kenyans today. The poverty levels in Kenya are very high. I used to be a commissioner for Poverty Commission, and you find that most of the poverty levels are in the urban areas, where most of the properties are located. So, and if you look at the inventory of Waqf Commission properties, for example, not in Kenya but all over the world, the main donors are women, ladies, because they are the ones who have felt the pinch when there are issues. So basically, what we're looking at this bill. Once it goes through, I tell you, it can support a lot of issues and supplement the government efforts in eradicating poverty and another ills in society. Another issue is that they can take care of the imams, they can take care of the youths. For example, today, if you're looking at some of the imams who are under Waqf Commission, they're not earning more than 15,000 shillings a month. What will make Shabab's influence in this mosque? So this is a question we need to ask ourselves. Once, I believe, people have lost confidence in Waqf Commission. But now, given this new bill, with the right people and the people, we need to support it, I guess. Once we support this bill, and proper enactment and a proper implementation, I can tell you we can change this country and beyond. So this is an opportunity for Kenyans, and once the community benefits, basically it's every Kenyan will benefit from this process.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Sheikh Zubeir. Right there, a lot of reactions, likes and loves, and a number of messages coming in, but in the interest of time, it's already Isha time and we cannot continue the conversation here. I'm told that my time is up inside this studio. Of course, that is Ibrahim Mohammed, and Faraju is my director tonight. But of course, you've had it for yourself. Much progress have been made. You can check out our previous discussion on the Waqf Commission. We hosted Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome and Professor Hamadi Boga on the same topic, that is Waqf Commission, way back in 2020. And of course, we also hosted Dr. Ibrahim Bulushi, who's the CEO of Waqf Commission, in 2020 as well, August. You can go and check that out. Sheikh Ibrahim, I think we did in 2019, yeah? Yeah, in 2019. 2019, when it was being tabled on the floor of Parliament, that is November 2019. And then we hosted Sheikh Ibrahim Bulushi in August 2020 after the first reading completed. Please go ahead. Samson Atiende says, Mashallah, Jazakumullah Khair. Salim Kutoka Ranger, Kisumu East. Yes, Omeraja Telo, we've had you. Thank you so much for taking part in this conversation and your questions that have been streaming in. Sorry, I could not be able to read all of them. But let's go and download that act and be part and parcel of the process. Let us entrust the Commission once again with our trust, with our donations, and inshallah it's going to benefit not just you but your progeny even after your demise. Jazakumullah khair. Thanks so much for keeping it live. Real Talk right here on Horizon TV. See you next week, same place. My name is Faisal, Kassim, and this is a live Real Talk.
Shukran.